Great. Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to BizBlend, your daily dose of business brilliance and branding mastery. So, from the expert interviews to cutting edge market insights, we are here, your go to hub for staying ahead in the entrepreneurship. So, not just that, we champion the mental health and the lifestyle tips to ensure your success is not just sustainable but also enriching. So, tune into our power packed episodes and fill your journey to the greatness. And today we have a very it's a great guest we have. So I'd like to mention Jason Barnard. Hi, Jason. Am I audible?
Yeah, hi. I'm afraid I can't hear you. The connection's quite bad and you're cutting out. But yes, lovely to be here.
Oh, oh, lovely. So, Jason, like before we start our conversation, I'd love to introduce you to all of our listeners that Jason is known as the brand search guy, told and the CEO of Kalicube. Jason is not just an expert in all, he is a master at reshaping how people views your brand, both personally and professionally. So imagine like influencing media perception from day one. Jason has done exactly that since Google was born. So, with a prolific entrepreneurial journey that includes founding companies with over 66 years of combined profitability, Jason brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. And as a sought after speaker at global conferences and a seasoned podcast host with over like 300 episodes, Jason is a wellspring of insights on the personal branding, AI, and the digital strategy. But that's not all. Jason's backstory is as fascinating as his professional accomplishments. So, from being a punk folk musician touring to Europe to star in a cartoon series, cartoon series by BBC. So, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary. So, I'd like to appreciate his expertise once again, Jason.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. If you're asking me a question, I can't actually hear you. You're cutting out. So I heard bits of the introduction, which sounded brilliant. Thank you very much. Um, but I can't actually hear the questions when you ask them.
Okay,
I think your internet connection is unstable. I don't think
okay.
it's mine. I'm
Let
going
me
to check.
check the Wi-Fi
But
maybe.
maybe Rima's internet connection is more stable.
Let me check.
Well, I can hear you very well, Rima.
Great. Avik, it seems that your internet connection is a bit unstable.
Yeah, I've completely lost Avik now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Rima, it's you and me. Lovely to
yeah,
meet you.
pleasure to meet you, Jason.
Great. It's better now?
Yeah, good.
Super. Okay, so brilliant.
Hi,
I
Jason. Can you
kind of
hear me
heard the
now?
introduction and it sounded really good. Avik, what are we talking about today?
So today we'll be talking about why Google is your new business card.
Ah, that's a great topic. I love that topic because it is your new business card, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Rima, would you like to proceed?
Sure. So, Jason, you have founded multiple companies with combined 66 years of profitability.
Yes.
So, my question to you is what's the secret to maintaining such long term success in different multiple industries in this era?
Ooh, that's a lovely question. I actually set all the companies up in order to pursue my passion, something I love doing. In the first one, it was WTPL Music, and I created the company so that my music group could release albums and tour. And that was brilliant. And I think the passion behind it was a huge reason that it's still going today, 33 years later, and it's still profitable. And then the second company, Up to 10 Limited, was children's entertainment. I created cartoon characters for children with my ex-wife, Veronique. And once again, passion, the desire to share this with the world was the huge driver behind the success, still going strong 24 years later. And now Kalicube, only 9 years, but 9 years of profitability based on my deep interest and passion, once again, for understanding how Google's knowledge algorithms work, and now how its AI algorithms work, and indeed how ChatGPT functions, how it understands the world, and how it then uses that understanding to represent the world, including you as an individual human being.
Right, that's interesting.
Wow.
Avik, over to you.
Yeah, that's really, really lovely. So, Jason, you have been influencing Google's focus on individuals and companies since its inception. So, what sparked your interest in the brand subs, and how has the landscape evolved since you started?
Yeah, I think the change in focus is key. And you bring up that point at exactly the right moment, because our service is to get Google and other AI engines to understand who you are, what you do, which audience you serve. And that usually involves changing its focus from what it's currently understood. And a problem we typically find is Google has understood one of your past careers or has confused you with somebody else, at which point our job is to educate it about your current career, the current focus, and disambiguate you from other people with the same name. And for example, Jason Barnard, JASON BARNARD, if you search that on Google now, you'll see me. But there's a circus clown called Jason Barnard. There's a podcast host in the UK called Jason Barnard. There's an ice hockey player called Jason Barnard. There's a university professor called Jason Barnard. And what sparked my interest in this was, number one, refocusing Google's attention away from my past careers in cartoon making and music and towards what I currently do, which is digital marketing and personal brand management in the world of AI.
Wow.
Interesting, Jason. So also, how important and relevant is personal branding for the CEOs today, and what role does Google or SERP plays in improving their branding?
Great question. I think, first of all, SERP, a SERP, is a search engine results page, and that's the foundation of what we do. The search result for your name, your brand SERP, is your Google business card. And that's the visible representation of how Google and other AI understand you. And it's the first KPI we use for our clients. There are other KPIs. For example, can ChatGPT describe your career? If you ask it, what are Jason Barnard's professions? In my case, it can. In most people's cases, it can't. It can't even start, or it gets it all wrong.
Yeah.
The answer will either be, I don't know enough, or here's what I know and it's completely wrong. For me, it can describe my entire career pretty much perfectly. And that's a huge, huge win in a world of AI. And you asked why it's important for business leaders, CEOs, founders. And the answer is that your personal brand is a business asset for your company. Your personal brand drives business for your company, whether you know it or not. So your personal brand as CEO or founder or any kind of leader within the company has an effect on your business's bottom line, and you need to manage that in order for your business to make most profit, most benefit from your personal brand. And an example is my personal brand drives 80% of Kalicube's revenue. The reason people work with us is because I'm out there with my personal brand, being present, educating, helping, teaching, and engaging with people who will then want to work with us.
That's right.
Understood. So, just Jason, like you mentioned and you say as well that Google is your new business card. So, if you can, I mean, bifurcate, or maybe if you can share like what that means for the entrepreneurs and the businesses today.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because what it means to people is something that I often don't explain. What I always say is people have always researched you before they do business with you, because people do business with people. What they do in the modern world is search you on Google. And if you've been sitting on Zoom meetings these last 5 or 6 years, you will notice that people look down at their phone perhaps, or they're looking at a different window or a different screen, because they're researching the people they're talking to. We all do it, but we don't think that other people do it with us. But they do. People research you. They look at the Google result for your name. They ask ChatGPT, who is this person? Are they reliable? Can I trust them? That answer is going to make all the difference to your business. And when you search my name on Google, JASONBARNARD, you'll see a result that not only informs you about who I am, what I do, and who I serve, but it's incredibly convincing as a business card, convincing you that I'm a good person to work with, that I'm trustworthy. And implicitly in your mind, you're thinking, well, I trust Google. Google trusts Jason, therefore I should trust Jason. And that's a huge win in business.
And Jason, you also mentioned that ChatGPT or AI tools, they need a huge infusion of knowledge. They are thirsty for
Yes.
knowledge, and how do the CEOs or the leaders through their own brands can teach the algorithms of these AI tools, to create that familiarity or love them?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is, you say AI tools, and I did an interview yesterday, and the host was talking to me about AI tools, and I think we look at ChatGPT, Google Gemini, from a perspective of a tool we use for ourselves to help us in our lives. And if you turn that around a little bit and you look at it from a slightly different perspective, you'll see that they're assisting us. They're assistive engines. They assist us to get to the solution to our problem. And if you look at it that way, assistive engines are replacing search engines. You would rather use an assistive engine that can have a conversation with you to lead you to the solution to your problem than a search engine where you have to actively think about what it is you need in the next step of the search for your solution. So an assistive engine is what I would call ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Bing Copilot, Perplexity. That's the first point. Second point is, yes, you're right. They need huge amounts of information in order to function and in order to learn. They don't need necessarily a huge amount of information to understand who you are. What they need is consistent information across the internet. And that's the key to what we do at Kalicube. We've invented the Kalicube process, which is a way to create that understanding, which is phase one. So the Kalicube process is 3 phases: understandability, credibility, deliverability. Understandability, 3 months, we can get these machines to understand who you are and what you do. Next is credibility, another 3 months, and we can convince these machines to love you, to trust you, which is what you said. So understandability, they understand you. Credibility, they love you and they trust you, and they're willing to recommend you, but they don't yet have enough material, enough content to be able to recommend you in specific circumstances at the top and the middle of the funnel during a conversation with their user. So you need to create a lot of content around your subject matter to give them the material to allow them to introduce you to the conversation when the conversation is just starting, or before they get to the point of decision with the user. So if you look at ChatGPT, Bing, Copilot, Google Gemini, they are guiding people down the funnel, either to a solution to a simple problem, or an answer to a question, or to buy a product, or to buy a service. If you want them to guide that person down the funnel to you, you need to create that funnel in their brain and convince them that you are the best solution to that specific funnel that you can serve their users.
Wow, that sounds really exciting, and it's like reverse engineering the entire process, right from backwards.
And
Beautiful.
you
Avik.
talk about reverse
Yeah.
engineering, which is an interesting point.
Uh-huh.
People think that I understand exactly how these algorithms work, but I don't. What I do know, because we have 2 billion data points at Kalicube, and we've been experimenting on this for 12 years. Kalicube's existed for 9 years, and Kalicube has been experimenting explicitly and measuring the results of those experiments for 9 years. 2 billion data points allow me to say, if we input this, it goes into the black box, mysterious black box of AI thinking and analysis. The output will be this. So I don't understand exactly what goes in their little brains, but I do understand this input will give this output. And that's power. That's the key.
Great.
Lovely. So also, like, thanks for mentioning about the Kalicube process. But also here, like with the AI becoming more prominent in search engines, so how can brands? I mean, how do you think that? How can brands prepare themselves to be favored by this algorithms?
It's a great question. Brands, i.e. companies, but this also works for products. If you're selling ice cream, for example, a brand of ice cream, or a person, my personal brand, for example, if you can think about this as building your funnel in the brains of these machines and convincing them that that funnel is the most relevant funnel for their users. And that comes down to the Kalicube process again, understandability, credibility, and deliverability. And if you think about a funnel in that way, the deliverability is top of the funnel. You need all of that content in order for the machines to have something to offer the subset of their users who are your audience when they're asking questions at the top of the funnel. The credibility is when the person starts saying, well, who do you recommend I work with? You need to be the most credible solution because you want them to offer you up as a solution. They'll offer 2, 3, 4 solutions. They're not going to offer 100 solutions. They're going to say, for example, I'll give you then the third one is deliverability. When push comes to shove at that decisive moment and the person says, who should I choose? The machine will pick the person or the company or the product that it has understood the best to be the credible solution. So if it has to pick between myself and somebody else to recommend as the knowledge panel expert, it will pick me because it understands me the best to be the most credible solution with the most information. And once again, I just walked up the funnel there. So I'll give you a quick example. At the top of the funnel, somebody says, what is a knowledge panel? The machine will answer this. A knowledge panel is an information box on the right-hand side on Google, citation from Kalicube. Then they say, how much does it cost? Doesn't cost anything. Google gives them for free. Citation Kalicube. This is all top of the funnel. Then they say, well, I would like somebody to build a knowledge panel for me. Who can do that? And then it will say, Jason Barnard can do it. WebFX can do it. Rand Fishkin perhaps can do it. And then they say, well, who's the most reliable person or company who can help me with this? And it will pick myself or Kalicube because it understands us the best to be the most credible solution to that specific problem.
And Jason, circling back to your background, it's incredibly unique. How have your experiences as a musician and a cartoon character shaped your approach to personal branding?
That's an interesting question because there are multiple perspectives you can take on it. The effect it's had in the recent past is that because I was a musician and I'm in a lot of trusted sources such as Music Brains, Discogs, Deezer, Spotify, Google understood me to be a musician. Then I was a cartoon maker and I was in IMDb, I was in Rotten Tomatoes, I was in Wikipedia, in Wikidata, also incredibly highly trusted sources for Google. So it could understand very easily without me doing anything that I was a musician. Then it could understand that I was a cartoon maker. To get it to understand that I'm a digital marketer and entrepreneur now meant that I needed to create a significant amount of information about me because it was very difficult to get that into the sources that Google natively trusts. So what it has taught me is, number one, I'm multifaceted. Being multifaceted is a problem that all human beings have. We all have multiple facets to our personality and our lives.
Right.
And that some facets are going to be easier to educate Google about than others. And those that are difficult to educate Google about, such as I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a digital marketer, doesn't make it impossible. Anything is possible. Any education of these machines is possible if you approach it systematically and using data. And at Kalicube, that's what we do. We're systematic, we're incredibly consistent, and we use 2 billion data points in order to move forwards and educate these machines. Once again, predictively saying, if we put A in, B will come out.
Great.
Lovely. And also, like, given your diverse background from music to cartoons, how do you see your creative experiences influencing like your digital branding and the entrepreneurship?
My creative past is, I think, still a creative present. I was creative in the music industry and I still play music, and that creativity still exists. Same thing for the cartoon making. But I think entrepreneurship is also a kind of creativity. And what I've learned in the last year or so is, being an entrepreneur and running a business, I initially thought it was all about doing things all the time, doing things so everything keeps moving forwards. And I never gave myself the time to stop and think. And some of the best decisions I've made have been decisions I've made whilst doing absolutely nothing, sitting in the sun, looking at the sea and pondering all the different aspects of what we're doing. And that half an hour I spent sitting in the sun, looking at the sea, making that one decision that's made a fundamental difference to the entire business and changed the outlook of the business and changed the future of the business, was half an hour much better spent than half an hour trying to code something or trying to build a website, or, you know, doing something that feels constructive in the immediate moment isn't necessarily the best use of my time. And to be creative as an entrepreneur, you need space, you need headspace, you need time, and you need time to think.
Great. And Jason, also, I wanted to ask you, what's that one common mistake you see businesses make with their online branding, and how do you advise they can avoid it?
I mean, the most common mistake, I'll give you three. I like things in threes. Things in threes is a lot of fun. The single most common mistake is not focusing on consistency. Inconsistency in brand communication, brand narrative is the biggest problem these machines have, but it's also a problem for human beings. If you're communicating inconsistently about your brand, human beings have trouble understanding who you are, what you do, who you serve, and what you're actually offering them. And machines even more so. Machines need something incredibly consistent in order to build up their understanding and their confidence in that understanding. So that consistency of brand, visual brand, and the communicated oral or written brand is vitally important. Another huge mistake is not understanding that Google and the other AI machines like ChatGPT are actively looking for information about you from you. So they're looking for your website so that they can get the version of the facts from you about you. So making sure that that message is incredibly clear and consistent with the rest of the internet is fundamentally important to your digital branding. And then the third one, I think, is overlooking audio and video. I think people look at brand and think about the written word. Then they think about the visual aspect, the logo. And you need to look more than just the logo. You need to look at the logo and every single visual your brand produces and make sure that's consistent and relevant and makes sense to your target audience. But then also audio and video. Google, ChatGPT, Bing, all of these machines will now analyze audio, try to understand it, and use it as another source of information. But the fundamental problem with audio and video and the way people speak and people's accents and people's colloquialisms and the way that we don't speak in very clear sentences that have a start and an end, and we keep moving around and going back and forwards, like I just did, means that machines will misinterpret a lot of what we say. And so that data for them is often very inaccurate. Oh, the solution to that particular problem is to always add subtitles and captions to your YouTube videos and podcasts if possible.
Lovely. Yeah, that's really, really great. Lovely. So great. Thank you, Jason, for joining us today on this enlightening episode of BizBlend with the incredible, I'd say it's your experience, your knowledge. It's incredible, I would say. So
Thank you.
the brand SERP guy, I would say, right? So we hope that, dear listeners, all of you have gained valuable insights into the power of personal branding and how Google has become your new business card. So if Jason's story and the expertise have inspired all of you, make sure to check out his work at Kalicube and listen to his podcast, Branded Search and Beyond. So do not forget to explore his book as well, The Fundamentals of Brand Serves for Business, to dive even deeper into these strategies we discussed today. So also remember that your online presence, yeah, you're saying something, Jason.
No, I'd just say brilliant, delightful. Thank you for that. That was delightful. You sent people to exactly the right places. Oh, I'll send them to one more place. If you want to download a free guide, 60-page guide that explains exactly how to manage your brand in Google and in a world of AI using the Kalicube process, just go to kalicube.com, kalicube.com/guides, GUIDES. And you can download for free a 60-page guide of how to use the Kalicube process to manage your brand, your personal brand, your corporate brand, your product brand, or even your music group brand. It's a universal strategy that works for anybody and anything, and it works with Google today and AI in the future.
Wow, that's really perfect, and thanks for sharing this. And as I was mentioning, like, dear listeners, online presence is more than just a digital footprint. So it's the gateway to your brand's identity. So take the steps, take the tips shared by Jason today, apply them, and start shaping how the world sees you. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and leave us a review. We love hearing you, and always, as we all say, like, stay tuned for more power-packed episodes right here on BizBlend. So until next time, keep building your brand and blending business brilliance into every day. So thank you so much.